Okay, I guess we can begin. Good morning again. Greetings and a humble welcome to my panelists and the esteemed guests in the room. My name is Malese Ndhlovu. I'm an innovation management and technology commercialization professional, senior business development manager at the Technology Innovation Agency. Our session, as I've already mentioned, will be covering innovation pathways for small enterprises. Our session will discuss what are the determinants and what are the hurdles that are in the space, given that SMMEs need to take advantage, or rather should be taking advantage of the technological advancements that are underway to be able to enable them to overleap some of the hurdles that hinder their growth, and just be around what are the strategies that will grow entrepreneurship, leapfrog into global, and also enact much more cross industry collaboration. So we will be hearing from our experts. We have 3 speakers in the room and we have 1 online. So we will be hearing from them in this current session. And I will appreciate if we stick to the time allocated, and then we will have the last leg for Q&A. Thank you for your audience, and I will hand over to Mr. Christoff Oosthuysen to take us through his presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Can I ask a question to start off with? Who in the room had to learn something new in this year that you find, oh, this is like I'm out of my depth? Maybe large language model prompting or something like this. It can be quite intimidating. I think that's what I would like to cover in my presentation here, based on our experience at the Entrepreneurial Planning Institute in working in entrepreneurial programs and specifically working with practitioners. So I'll come back to this point about the practitioners, or those people that are working in the intermediaries. You may recall that even from our first keynote in this forum, intermediaries were mentioned. You know, sort of those entrepreneur support organizations and the key role that they play in the ecosystem. So my topic, it's like you have to press the button. How can we best unlock entrepreneurial growth through digital progression? And this is a theme that we at the Entrepreneurial Planning Institute have been focusing on. EPI, by the way, is a non-profit organization that aims to contribute to the ecosystem, and that's why we specifically focus on new things like the challenging stuff that other people maybe run away off. How to use digital tools to support small businesses, how small businesses can benefit from the benefits of new technology, and how we create that environment for entrepreneur support organizations to thrive in supporting entrepreneurs. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you is our experience in 2 specific programs. The one is called the DigiBiz program, where it includes a coaching element that we work with entrepreneurs, Tangier-based entrepreneurs, in helping them to find ways to grow their businesses through digital adoption. In fact, that was how we started out thinking of it, is how can we introduce these entrepreneurs to adopt digital tools. We found actually that our approach was not working so well. We had to change the way that we think about it, and I'm going to cover that in the presentation. And then the second is a program. In fact, tomorrow we have our last session. There's a total of 50 ESO practitioners in Tembisa and Hammanskraal that we've been working with over the past 6 weeks in supporting them, training them in a program on how they can support their small businesses, Tangier-based small businesses, in making use of digital advancement so they can grow their businesses. Great. So my name is Christoff Oosthuysen. I'm from the Entrepreneurial Planning Institute. And what I would like to share with you today is our experience in working with practitioners. We call them practitioners. These are the business advisors, mentors, coaches, and program managers, incubation managers, those people that are working with entrepreneurs. and in direct work with entrepreneurs around digital progression. A DigiBiz program is something that's ongoing. We created a platform there. DigiBiz.Africa is a platform where ecosystem players and entrepreneurs are connecting around this theme. But the program that we run started off in coaching. So here's one of the businesses, Muimeleli-based business that we supported. And guess what? They could reach out to their customers through electronic platforms. Why? Anyone from Muimeleli? You would guess why? Why could they reach out? Because Muimeleli, I'm not sure if it's still running. At that point, it was running quite well. Had a extended access, internet access into the community on internet. Still going, not stopped. See, there's a big problem. That's perhaps a policy problem that I'm not going to talk about. If the state can build roads for cars, it can also build roads for people to get onto the internet. And maybe that is a policy thing. I haven't heard that spoken about much here. But that's perhaps if that's a policy change that we have in the country to create ways to improve internet access, we're going to go far away. In any case, they could reach the customers because of that. Or in some instances, this business was hit by COVID, a takeaway business, but an innovative entrepreneur. She got on, a cashless payment going. She got scooters to deliver. But then she found other people were copying her. So she had to take a step further, and she created a whole CRM system to connect with the customers better through online platforms. So that's the kind of entrepreneurs that we're working with. But it requires a supportive environment, and it requires of us to meet the entrepreneurs with that. So as ESOs, entrepreneur support organizations, and the mentors and coaches work with them, we can't come with the fancy tools that we think they need. We need to get into the issues. And this is the challenge that we faced in the program that we delivered. So we created something. We call that the Digital Progression Index. My colleague, Dr. André Prio, who did the research with us, is here today too. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about that before I come to the ESO training that we did. So in this model, we talk about two things. First, the status. How far have people come in adopting digital solutions? We start off with digitization, turning information into electronic form. Okay? No paperwork anymore. Then we move on to digitalization, which is the automation of processes. Easy ways of doing things that we don't have to repeat ourselves so often. And ultimately, we move into digital transformation, which is where the culture of the business changes, where the interaction with the customers is shifting. Actually, the products and services are starting to change too. And somewhere on this pathway, we're all at. So we can measure that perhaps even. And then the second element is the drivers of change, the things that you have to have in place in your business to make progress. We've identified 7 there that we're working with, and we integrate those 7 into a coaching approach. So we can do a gap analysis. We can do benchmarking. We can understand which elements, whether it is leadership and culture or resources or data quality, we can understand where the shortcomings may be in that business. But we need to contextualize that with the entrepreneur. Otherwise, it's just this clinical feedback that they get that they can't do anything else. And that is why coaching is so important. A coaching approach to supporting entrepreneurs that starts with where the business is going, not with the digital tools. So we have to meet the entrepreneurs where they're at. Then we can sit down and say, where's the value creation? So think of the township project that we're doing and sitting with the entrepreneur, figuring out where they're going to take their business next. What is the opportunity for them to pursue to grow their business? Not an easy task, but there are opportunities. And the entrepreneurs are seeing the opportunities. So we start there. What is your business model going to be going to the future? And then we look at digital solutions to support that. So don't start with teaching apps. It's not about the digital tools. It's about the value creation of the business and then how digital solutions support that. So what did we find in this digital progression index? These are team members that worked alongside myself and Dr. Priya on this. Remember, we speak about status, how far we got, and there's some indications. There's also some other research being done. We're fortunate that different people are doing research on what is this journey of adopting digital tools. And we're finding interesting things like digitization. We're getting quick there. 80+% of people are there. They have their data in a digital form. But now the next step is things like digital transactions, leading the way. And then other things like customer relations. Social media, of course, is a strong way. And we can keep monitoring this and get a better idea of how far people have progressed. You know, sort of, we can talk about city and suburb versus township and the trends there. Male, female, they're different ways for size of business and so on that we can cut to see and understand better where they are at. And then the second one is the drivers. How ready are they for change? Interesting here that business development scores very low. People are unable to identify the opportunities to grow their business. So in this conference too, I've heard a lot being talking about access to money, access to finance. And in fact, if you ask an entrepreneur, mostly, what do you need? They say, I need a loan. You say, do you need a loan or do you need a customer? They say, no, I need a loan. So think about that a bit. Why is it that people first think I need a loan and not a customer? The loan isn't going to sustain the business. In fact, it creates a liability in the business. The customer creates assets in the business. It creates value. So how do we move from that situation where the lowest score is there on business development? But luckily, there are things like leadership and change, and people are prepared. They're ready. They're excited. They motivate. They want to do stuff. So there's some good signs there too, in terms of the digital space there. So the report is also on the repository here. But then we take these two things and create a score for individuals and an index for the group, for everyone together, combining these two things. And here's the typical consultants to X graph, put drivers on the one and status on the other. And guess what we score here in the survey that we did last year? 41. It's quite low. We'll understand it a bit now. There's some details. You can look at it in the paper. The distribution curve shows, you know, sort of that most are sitting here in the middle, but there's actually quite a disparity. Some are far advanced, some are way back. And the stats in terms of the cuts for different tools. But here's an interesting way of seeing it. We're talking about archetypes. So if we take that graph and we divide it into four, we can say we can look at four different kinds of businesses. First, the responders. These are the people that are just responding to the outside influences. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that because someone is demanding it from me, including movement in terms of digital adoption. Initiators, they're at the top left. Okay, they move up. They're starting to make progress in terms of adopting tools, but it's just a fad. As opposed to the rangers, who are not so quick in adopting the tools, but they're getting ready. And then the transformers are those that are really flying, and that is where we sit at. So I'm going to leave this slide up for a moment so you can absorb this. More than half are sitting in the bottom left. So we've got a long way to go. But it's not all bad news because more than a quarter are rangers. They're busy preparing the businesses for the future. So our question is, how do we meet these entrepreneurs where they're at so that we can help them in adopting digital tools? Assessment tool is coming. I'll go quickly through this. Meet them where they are, plan for value creation, then plot the way. And we can see different pathways that we can follow there. Our approach is a coaching approach. And we apply that also in the program that we're busy rolling out in terms of training of ESO practitioners, the mentors and the coaches. So here's an intervention that's not aimed at the entrepreneur. In fact, EPR has got a program called 20X. We work with 20 practitioners, each bring 5 entrepreneurs, and we reach 100 entrepreneurs through the 20 people that we work with. So that's the approach that we've taken here with the Africa Development Bank project and been training of entrepreneurs. Tomorrow I'll be in Namaskar with this group of people. But it's about train the trainer and the value creation that we can then help them to achieve with their small business. Okay, so there's some details in terms of the program. It's all about starting with planning for growth so that we can then see how we can use digital tools to plot that path for people. Meet them where they're at, then leverage the potential of the participants, the practitioners, support new value creation, and then can create an environment for us to collaborate in an ecosystem that's great in creating the jobs, creating the local economic development, supporting communities, which are the things that we often care to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christoff. And I hope that we would have maybe a multitude of more traditional SMMEs that are then now, you know, digitizing their processes and even finding creative ways of finding their customer so that they can actually serve a much broader audience than, you know, physical brick and mortar transactions. Thank you for that insightful presentation. I would like to hand over to our next speaker, which is Kiru Sichoongwe, who will take us into the eco-innovation discussion. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Moderator, and good morning, everyone. I think it's still good morning. So I'll take you into the determining factor of eco-innovation, adoption, and empirical study of micro and small enterprises in Johannesburg, South Africa. So my presentation outline, I'll start with the introduction, all the way up to the policy implications. We know so that currently the world is dealing with major environmental problems, the likes of climate change. And it's evident that innovative solutions must be developed because the effect of climate change, it covers across every entire aspect of our human lives. So one of them, of course, or one of the solutions to address this challenge is the aspect of eco-innovation or environmental innovation. By definition, these are just business models which support the development of products and services, and they have got environmental benefits. And the beauty also with eco-innovation, it gives firms the capacity also to, it supports industrial activity for firms, be it micro firms, small firms, or otherwise. And we know that innovative solutions, of course, in the wake of climate change are needed, given the importance of MSEs or small businesses in an economic system of many, in any economic system of a country. For example, MSE, they serve as the backbone of the industrial systems of many countries. They also create 90% of jobs in certain countries. I think in the context of South Africa yesterday, we saw that 30 to 40% of jobs, they come from the small businesses. And they also contribute significantly to a tune of 60% when it comes to all pollutants. The subject of eco-innovation, of course, is still new, not only in the South African context, but also in the context of Africa. And therefore, we felt duty-bound to be able to conduct this study, given the importance that it carries indeed. So some of the benefits of eco-innovations includes the capacity of small businesses to be able to reduce carbon dioxide production, the capacity of small businesses also to be able to replace fossil energy sources by renewable energy sources, the capacity also to be able to reduce air pollution, among other benefits. So this study only had one objective, and the objective was to determine the factor that influenced the adoption of eco-innovation technologies by micro and small enterprises in Johannesburg, South Africa. The study applied two theories. That's, of course, the natural resource-based view and the innovation diffusion theory. Now, I won't dive so much into these theories because I don't want to sound like I'm an academician when this presentation, of course, has to be practically oriented. So based on that, I won't even spend so much time on the same. So let me take you to the methods. So in terms of the methods that was applied, looking at the nature of the study itself, of course, we applied the probit model. But again, because this is not an academic session, this is a session to bring about policy implications and also the relevance of this innovation that we're talking about. So I want to go into the mathematical component of the model itself. So if you look at the probit model, this is just a binary model in which our dependent variable, of course, is just binary, meaning it's just 1 or 0. 1 indicating that the firms adopted eco-innovation and 0 indicating otherwise or they never adopted. So in terms of the sources of data, the data came from a survey called Innovation in Micro and Small Enterprises in Johannesburg. And this survey, of course, was conducted by the University of Johannesburg in the year 2022. And all told, the sample size was 1,021 MSE firms. So in terms of the findings, allow me to start by looking at the descriptive statistics, and then we'll go to the empirical findings of the probit model. So in terms of the descriptive statistics, I found it fit to be able to use a table, unlike some graphs, due to the nature of the variables that I had. So like I said before, the adoption variable itself was the dependent variable, and the levels of adoption as far as eco-innovation is concerned, they are still very low. And then some other variables of interest, we have got age of the enterprise. What we discovered also is that most of the firms actually have been in operation for a period of 13 years continuously. And then in terms of the number of employees, by the end of the fiscal year of 2022, on average, most firms, of course, had poor number of employees. Now we have to understand also that here we are looking at micro and small firms. And then some other firms also, they were able to innovate, or they carried out some innovation by introducing new products, as well as carrying out some innovation by introducing improved products. They also carried out some innovation by introducing some new services. And they also carried out some innovations by introducing some improved products. And then there's an aspect of research and development, which we can't run away from. At least about 2.5% of the firms, the sample size, carried out some research and development activities in the fiscal year of 2022. And then when it comes to aspect of environmental taxes, some firms, of course, did indicate to say environmental taxes played a critical role in influencing their decision to be able to adopt eco-innovation technologies. And the same was true also for government subsidies. And then in terms of the probit results, yeah, because this is a session which is not academic, so I won't strictly limit myself to the mathematical interpretation of the results. But for the benefit of understanding exactly what the results show and what we found, I'll just go direct to what we found indeed. So we discovered that innovation for improved products, the firms that were able to carry out innovation for improved products, as well as innovation in improved services, as well as innovation in new products, they had a higher likelihood of adopting eco-innovation technologies as compared to their counterparts. And then also the firms that carried out research and development activities, they also had a high probability in terms of adopting eco-innovation. I'm using the language of probability here because the probit model itself basically depends on probability. There's a probability model. And then when it comes to environmental tax, as well as government subsidies, they're also very significant in terms of explaining the levels of adoption of these particular firms. So in summary, we can safely say that environmental tax, government subsidies, research and development activities, of course, coupled with innovation in products, innovation in improved products as well as innovation in improved services, they all play a critical role in terms of determining the adoption levels of these particular eco-innovations technologies. So what does it mean for policy? So in terms of policy recommendations, of course, there's need for policy measures to be able to design an environmental tax with the same scope as the environmental damage that it is intended to repair. And there's also need for policy intervention to ensure that subsidies are administered in a way that promotes, of course, environmentally friendly alternatives, or discouraging the use of products with a comparatively significant risk to the environment. And also the need for policies to be designed to offer financial solutions to enterprises so as to prevent innovative MSCs from failing due to the aspect of funding issues. And also, lastly, the need for policy to directly support R&D activities that underpins sustainable innovation. Otherwise, thank you all very much. Siyabulera.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kiru. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the podium to Mr. Shawn Cunningham to take us through the distributed technology intelligence. And looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some insights that we've gained and some of the challenges that we are working on at a project that is hosted by TIPS. So I'm working on this project part-time, and we call this project the Technological Change and Innovation System Observatory. And it was actually, it really got its, we really started the project at a TIPS forum in 2017. So going back also to coffee and discussions and conversation with Ilse in the parking lot led to this project being established. And essentially what we are doing in this project is, if you think back to 2017, there was a lot of confusion about the fourth industrial revolution and what it meant for companies and for industries and for sector strategies and so on. So this project was also born at that time when we were trying to make sense of what does all of this talk about technological change mean for industries, for sectors, for businesses, and then also for the DTI sector desks, which was central to our strategy. So over time, the project has changed quite a bit. I don't know if you've noticed, but since COVID, we don't really talk about the fourth industrial revolution anymore. It's lost a little bit of its dazzle. We actually now talk far more about digitization or digitalization, although a lot of people use these words without, fully understanding the difference between these. But okay, I'm not going to go into that. I can rush straight here and just say the whole purpose of the observatory is to look at threats and to look at opportunities and to then look at what industry is doing and to try and figure out if there's something that we can do systemically to get a better response. I spend a lot of time visiting companies. I love visiting manufacturers. And what always strikes me is how different companies are even when they're in the same sector. So if you go into the foundry sector or plastics manufacturing or clothing and textiles, every business is different, but the statistics often average them out. And then it gets very hard to figure out what are companies busy? What are they struggling with? And the observatory then is trying to reconcile what businesses are trying to decide about or what choices they are making with a slightly higher or more aggregate view of how technology is changing. Okay, so that's my first slide. And at the previous TIPS conference, I spoke about MESO institutions and all the organizations that are supposed to be out there to help companies innovate. I'm not talking about that today. That conversation we can have out there. I love talking about that for hours on end. I'm not talking about that today. I'm talking about decisions that companies have to make by themselves or in a complementary way with other companies. So I'm going to focus now on the business and collectives of businesses making decisions together. And one of the challenges that you have is a lot of our companies don't read all of that stuff. I can talk on that for hours. A lot of our companies are making decisions about technology in a very haphazard way. They're basically replacing technology when it breaks. That is true. When we go to the industries, we can see two polarities. We can see the companies that are at the edge of technology. They're trying things. We have amazing innovators in South Africa, and they are big, and they are small, and they are in between. They're family owned, they're formal, they're informal. We have amazing innovators. This is not for them. A lot of our other companies are actually replacing things as it break. They're replacing things as it becomes too expensive to maintain or to keep running. And these companies are actually buying off-the-shelf technologies that you and I would say is old. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. A lot of our companies are not very good at managing technological change. They're not very good at a strategy of building competence. That wasn't me, was somewhere there in the corner, don't worry. Most companies are not looking at the future and saying, what competence do I have to build inside my business now that will give me more technology choices next year? When ChatGPT came out, we did a quick survey under the observatory, and companies were telling us, speak, because I wanted to know, how are you coping with ChatGPT? Do you have a policy in place in your business? And people said, you must speak to the IT department. The IT guy that's installing the printers and configuring the screens and that is going to tell me how this company is going to embrace ChatGPT. The technology is disconnected often from the strategy. There's a cure for that. If you've done an MBA or a management course, then you've probably stumbled across technology and innovation management. This is very often seen as another function in a business. It's not often all that strategic, but you might have come across this idea of building technology intelligence. Oh, and they love talking about this. If you read any American literature on entrepreneurship, this is very important. You scan your competitors. You check what choices did they make, what technologies did they not make, because that could influence your strategy. It all sounds like a story. It's so beautiful. Most companies don't gather technology intelligence that way. Very few companies are scanning the technology landscape beyond their sector or beyond their value chain to see what might come over the boundary into their sector as a surprise. So in the technology observatory for a while, we focused quite a bit on trying to build technology intelligence. We developed a series of profiles that could make it easier for companies to figure out how they can upgrade. I'm very proud of these things, except that companies would take this and say, this is really great for one day when I upgrade. And it's like, this is about additive manufacturing or 3D printing or LLMs or ChatGPT or what other, they all now have very personal names and fall in love with your bot. But anyways, there's a lot of, there's not much focus on what do I have to put in place to prepare me for the changes that I might have to make in a year or two. And we tried to get this going in South Africa with some subsectors. And I just want to say that we often talk about the advanced sectors or the fancy manufacturing sectors. And then you find, like in clothing and textiles, some amazing innovators, small businesses doing really amazing stuff, doing this, largely because of programs that were funded a long time ago. Remember the good old clusters projects, all of those things. Some of those trust networks that were built a long time ago actually allow companies to together figure out how technologies are changing and how they can embrace these technologies. There's another framework. Oh gosh. There's another framework. The challenge with the technology intelligence and collecting data, let me just say this one thing about the previous slide, is that data, and especially technology data, tells us about past decisions. It tells us what our competitors or other industries have decided a long time ago. And we actually need something that has a future orientation. So I started digging around and I came across this framework of Professor David Teese. And Saul and I actually met Prof. Dave some years ago, but we were not so impressed then. Partly because it sounded too much like management jargon. But the interesting thing, now that I've paid attention to it, is that this dynamic capability, if you think of the word dynamic means that I adapt based on how you adapt. Anybody here into dancing? I know maybe dancing long time ago, where you adapt to your partner, you adapt and you change your style and your approach also based on your partner. That's called a dynamic. Okay, so it's not just learning, it's learning and then your partner learns from you and you learn from your partner and over time it's get better. that is the capabilities that we want to build in our enterprises in their relationships with technology, where you have to go to the future. You have to have a future orientation. It's really depressing for me when I visit our manufacturers and I find how much of our technological support to our manufacturers is to help them catch up with the past and not get our businesses to navigate the future. And if you think about it, our businesses are actually quite resilient. We actually have sophisticated markets in South Africa. We have demanding buyers that are willing to complain or say what they want. And we have diverse people. We have all the critical ingredients for innovation, if we can somehow harness that. So I like this framework now. So we might have to revisit this again. And essentially in the middle of this framework is this idea of building people's awareness. We call it a heuristic of getting people to better sense technology options. And sensing technology options means you also have to assess what do you have in place now that you might have to change. What are you completely missing? Then there's a second part of this heuristic that is about seizing, where you figure out, can we prototype this? Can we play with this on the side? Can we maybe send a staff member to a training course to go and figure this thing out? How do we get this thing growing in our enterprise so that we can figure out the strategic effect of this technology? And then you transform your business where you take these new competencies and we basically say, I mean, the technical word is you assimilate your new insight. You don't just have it on the side over there. You take this new digital capability and you bring it into your business. You don't just have it in the head office. You integrate your manufacturing line and so on. So this transform idea. Our challenge that we have is that the industries that we work with, especially through the DTI sector desks, we often have a couple of companies and they're already in the future. We say that they're playing at the global technology frontier. They're ahead of everybody, and often they get there because they're part of international production networks. The rest of our companies are very dependent on our public intermediaries, our aggregators that Erika also mentioned yesterday. And very often our challenge is that our public sector itself is also not innovating. So it's a lot of our enterprises, 3 minutes, notice, thank you. Many of our enterprises are stuck in this environment where everybody's struggling as much as they are. It's very hard to innovate in that context. So I had to go in the last few weeks and then rethink what we've been doing. So this is a diagram of what we've been doing with our technology intelligence approach in the observatory, where you basically get people to understand and think through the technology merit, and then you pay a lot of attention to these competence requirements. So just something, economists typically look at the impact of technology on jobs. Business people look at the impact of technology on their existing competencies. It's just one level down because every job consists of functions and competencies. So business people look at our reports and they don't understand what we are talking about because they are not seeing big changes in their job profiles because of technology. What they see are completely new competencies emerging or competencies being enhanced, or they see that things that they used to do are no longer being done. And for businesses, even a small change in how you use technology. Let's see, who's using Microsoft Teams? Do you love this technology? Okay, no. Businesses are using. Whose organization has a competitive advantage because you're using these technologies? Did I say Microsoft? I guess I'm not allowed to do that. Whose organization has a competitive advantage because you're using, let's say, Office 365 or Slack or one of those? Anybody? Who's got a competitive disadvantage because you're not using these things? Because now these technologies have become part of how we do things. You're either using it and you can connect and integrate and share and work with others, or you are left behind. Companies constantly have to assess these competencies and they don't do it strategically. So some of the things that we have to change in the observatory going forward is we really have to work more on building this awareness of the future. Our needs are changing because these technologies are changing. We have to find more industry groups or associations where companies want to compete internationally, because it's not enough to focus on catching up. We have to, in a way, try to keep the pace in some of these areas. And the other thing that we have to do is we really have to work on how we get groups of companies to together make sense of technology. And the reason for that is simply the technology horizons that we have to scan in South Africa are really massive. Firstly, we have to scan what's going on in the US. If it's for me, you tell him I'm just wrapping up. We have to check what's going on in the US. Then, because of our country's positioning, we also have to check Europe, because Europe is still an important client of South Africa. So we have to check the technology changes there. Then we have to check China also, because China doesn't feature much in the Western media, but the way they are working with technology is very different. And we have to pay attention to that. And then we have all kinds of other technology boundaries. We're also far away from these. So we have many boundaries that we have to monitor. And my concern is that if every business, if every manufacturer had to do this alone, they will only look at a small piece of technology that looks familiar. And that takes me back to where we started off with the word discontinuous change, where technologies change and you simply can't continue on that old path that you were on. If businesses do not start working together in networks and hopefully then supported by some innovative public intermediaries, they will be left behind and they will struggle to monitor this. And that is what we want to do in the observatory going forward, is really focus on how we can get people to together figure out what technology means. The picture there, I was actually searching for, I asked DALL-E to create me an image of a robot learning about new technology, and that's what it came up with. So these bots are getting really clever. You can now even tell it to make it into a video and make a song even, but I thought that would be too disruptive for this presentation. So basically what I want to just conclude with is a call also for interested partners or people that are able to mobilize enterprises to think about technology. And it's not foresight and academic and thinking about 10 years from now. It's really about talking about what do we have in place now? Which competencies can we use to build new technology, new competencies? And I think also to focus on a lot of our enterprises are trying to do too many things. So to figure out where's opportunities for co-specialization or complementary developments and so on. And so I hope that next year at the observatory, at the forum, I can tell you about some successes of working with industry groups to create new future pathways. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shawn. You remind me of a saying, I stand to be corrected around, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And with that, I would also support you in your statement to say that with SMMEs, you find that you are working with less resources, but you need to compete with bigger muscle in the marketplace. And that is one of the critical reasons for one to explore synergies and, mutually symbiotic relationships that will be able to address the marketplace much faster. And so industry partnerships is one of the key factors to grow as an SMME. Look for expertise that can complement your service offerings and then sign those partnerships agreements to be able to address or rather attack the marketplace collectively. I would like to introduce our next speaker, and I would also like to ask for tech support to help us to connect him. He's online, it's Anele Slater. Welcome again, and the floor is yours.
Can you see my presentation, my slides?
Yeah, yes, we can, and we can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much. So my presentation is titled The Effects of External Collaboration and Employee Participation on Innovation Performance, Evidence from Micro and Small Enterprises in the City of Johannesburg, South Africa. So this work is part of my research paper that I'm working on, and I expect to get some feedback so that I can improve it further. The following is the structure of my presentation. I'll start with introducing my topic as well as the findings of my research. So innovation is considered to be the important driver of sustainable competitive advantage for micro and small enterprises. And these enterprises are considered to be the backbone of any healthy economy, in that they drive economic growth, they provide employment opportunities, and they also open new markets. So there's a need of understanding some of the factors which enhances their innovation capabilities. So in this study, I investigated those factors in the case of external collaboration, R&D efforts, and employee participation on innovation performance within micro and small enterprises, which are in the manufacturing sector in the City of Johannesburg. And my findings indicates that there's a significant positive relationship that exists between external collaboration and innovation performance, which is presented in an inverted U-shaped correlation, which I'll talk about more later on in this presentation. And the R&D having a positive, significant relationship with innovation performance, and while employee participation indicates a positive linear relationship with innovation performance. So these insights provides the importance of leveraging external relationships and resources to overcome some of their internal shortcomings in terms of innovating to enhance their innovative outcomes. So in terms of contribution to knowledge, this study provides the empirical evidence of an inverted U-shaped relationship with external collaboration, between external collaboration and innovation performance, which suggests that while moderate levels of collaboration enhances innovation, excessive collaboration may diminish, innovation performance, and that is the case for collaboration depth as well as collaboration breadth. And the difference between these two concepts, which have been covered extensively in research, is that collaboration depth is defined as the collaboration between key, firms that collaborate for innovation, and it is said to increase or to result in radical innovations in firms. So these are few companies that collaborate with each other, and the end result, have an impact or result in radical innovations in these firms. While collaboration breadth, on the other hand, refers or is defined as the diversity of collaborating partners that collaborate for innovation, and it is said to be important for incremental innovations. So this study further provides the importance of engaging employees in innovation-related processes to drive better outcomes, and it offers contextual insights on how some of these firms navigate innovation, because some of them may lack R&D capabilities. So leveraging some of these relationships can enhance their firm innovation performance. And it adds to the understanding of innovation dynamics in developing economies. It further contributes to the theoretical discourse on open innovation in general, in that open innovation, firstly, was researched to kind of focus on the positive aspects of open innovation, which I'll talk about. And it is said that it has three pillars or concepts, or channels as provided by COBAC, and those include the knowledge-based view, the organizational learning view, and the resource-based view, as ways in which firms can, access resources that are external to the firm, access to, to the specialized knowledge about particular technology in the market, which enhances their firm innovation performance. In terms of the literature, there's a limited literature that focuses on how external collaboration, among other factors, impact firm innovation performance within small and medium-sized enterprises in the manufacturing sector in developing economies. So this research is trying to fill that gap by providing the context of a developing country and small and micro enterprises in the developing economies. So what external collaboration is defined as, it says that it is said that it involves SMEs that are partnering together with external firms for the exchange of ideas, knowledge acquisition, and new product development. And external collaboration is said to enhance innovation performance in these small and medium-sized enterprises. While employee participation research indicates that there's a relationship between engaged employees and firm innovation in organizations. So when it comes to firm innovation capabilities, there are a variety of factors which contributes to firm innovation, and those factors include things like the size of the firm, the age of the firm, its R&D efforts, and many other factors which are specific to the industry. And in this research, I've also, on my econometric model, I've also included some of these, variables or factors, such as the firm size as well as the age of the firm. But I've controlled for them because they've been extensively covered, in research to say that those have an effect or impact on firm innovation in organizations. I've talked about the collaboration threat as well as depth, which enhances both incremental and radical innovations in firms. And a lot of studies which look at these two concepts in how they contribute to firm innovation performance were done by Salter and Lawson, Hagedorn, as well as Korbach. So innovation theory is used in this, open innovation theory, is used in this study, and it was a concept which was coined by Henry Chesbrough, which entails the use of both firms' internal and external resources and ideas to enhance innovation, market expansion, as well as technology development. As I indicated, open innovation focused initially on positive aspects or potential of open innovation. However, recent research have delved into the negative aspects of open innovation, which might be detrimental to firm innovation. And I considered both the positive and negative aspects of innovation in this study. And the beneficial aspects of open innovation are said to be rooted into three primary conceptual channels by Korbach and others. And those include the resource-based view, the knowledge-based view, and organizational learning view. So as I've indicated, these are some of the ways in which firms can access external resources, acquire knowledge that might not be yet present within the firm, which includes information about customer needs, information about the market, and learning about new skills, for example, a specialized skill set about a technology in the market. They are said to positively impact innovation performance in firms. So in the case of detrimental effects of open innovation which have been observed, they include diminishing marginal returns. And diminishing marginal returns are said to be things like innovation inertia, which happens when one firm relies heavily on external sources for innovation, which then decrease their own firm's internal innovation capabilities and long-term sustainability. and their transaction and opportunity cost, which are associated with the negotiations and contracting cost of these collaborating firms, which might result in the negative effects or negatively affect on innovation performance. So I have three hypotheses that I came up with for this study. And the first one is that there's a positive relationship between external collaboration, employee participation, and innovation performance. And the second one says that there's a relationship, the relationship between external collaboration and innovation performance will follow in better U-shaped relationship. And the last one is that there's a strong positive correlation between employee participation and innovation performance. And in terms of the data that I've used, comes from the SARChI Industrial Development at the University of Johannesburg and consists of 1,021 micro and small manufacturing enterprises in the City of Johannesburg. So the econometric model that I've used is the Tobit estimation model. And the reason is that I'm dealing with the censored data. So Tobit model is suitable for variables that have been censored, and I've controlled, as I've indicated, for the size of the firm, including the age of the firm. And the table on the right provides the correlation between variables. The table indicates that there's a weak negative correlation, for example, between the age of the firm as well as the size of the firm on innovation performance, which suggests that these two factors have a small effect on the overall innovation performance, while R&D, employee participation, and external collaboration have a positive and strong correlation with innovation performance. And in terms of gauging the effect of each of these variables on the on innovation performance as a variable under consideration, the R&D has a large effect size, which is provided as 0.57, followed by employee participation with a medium size effect of 0.3, and lastly, external collaboration with a value of 0.10. So the result of the Tobit regression for innovation performance on the right. So they provide the relationship between controlled variables and innovation performance, and the controlled variables are the firm size and the age of the firm. And looking at the numbers, you would see that the firm size has a negative coefficient, even though it is significant to innovation performance, and the age of the firm has a positive coefficient, and yet not significant on innovation performance. So this result provides that having an effective innovation collaboration and increasing knowledge acquisition through external collaboration derives high gains and strongly influences firm innovation performance. So the chi-square value of this study is 656.94, which suggests that the variables are good predictors of innovation performance in this case, and are provided provided by the probability chi-square of being significant that further agree with that. So the table the graph on the left provides the employee participation and innovation performance. And you would see that as employees continue being involved in innovation related activities in the firm, innovation performance continues to grow. And the table on the right provides the relationship, the inverted relationship between external collaboration and innovation performance. And you'd see that as firms engage more on external collaboration, the firm innovation continue to increase. the firm innovation performance continues to improve or getting enhanced. And it reaches a peak and it starts to decline, even though the collaboration continues to take place, which provides that the maximum levels of collaboration might be result in diminishing marginal returns. As I've indicated, some of the diminishing marginal returns that tend to result in the graph going down in terms of innovation performance going down, while the external collaboration and firms continue to collaborate with each other.
Anele, excuse me, apologies. If we could give you the last 2 minutes to wrap up, please. Thank you.
Okay. So in conclusion, I've highlighted how external collaboration impacts innovation performance, as indicated by the inverted U-shaped relationship that exists between those two variables, and I provided for the linear relationship which exists with between employee participation and firm innovation performance. And in terms of practical implications of this study, it highlights the importance of leveraging external relationships and resources and strategically managing external collaboration and fostering employee participation to enhance innovation performance. And for policy implications, this provides that policymakers should encourage an ecosystem which fosters collaboration, knowledge exchange, and openness. And this study contributes to the understanding of collaboration, internal capabilities, and firm innovation performance among micro and small enterprises in the manufacturing sector in the city of Johannesburg. In terms of the limitations of this study is that it's geographic and sector specific in that it only covers micro and small enterprises within the city of Johannesburg. And in terms of future research, there should be comparative studies which will look at across different sectors, including locations, trying to understand how external collaboration and employee participation, among other variables, contributes or enhances or affect firm innovation performance. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anele, for the presentation, and kindly please stay online as we are moving into the Q&A part of the session. It will be a brief one. We would like to conclude around 12:30, but I would like to open the floor for Q&A, and I would seek for technical support if there's any questions online. I have noted 2 hands for now. Is that a third hand? Okay, I will start with this side, the first hand, and then at the back, the second hand, and the third hand on this side. I trust that the mics are working on your tables.
Thank you. First question, Kiru. Sample that you did for your survey, the survey that was done by UJ. Were those companies already involved in environmental data? It was random survey. And the question for Shawn is, it seems to me that there's a dire need for this type of thinking in government. Disruptive thinking, education. What extent have you engaged as government and politics?
Yeah, thank you so much for that particular question. Of course, the surveys, the firms in the survey, it is these were just random in terms of carrying out adoption of eco-innovations. And the adoptions, of course, were done between 2019 and 2022. Yeah, but that much said, the adoption rates, of course, were relatively low. And then when it comes to engagement with the government, I think that's where the link is still missing. I haven't yet, or we haven't yet taken that step to engage with the government because there's also another wave of a similar survey that will have to be conducted soon. And I think once that other survey is done, once the next survey is done, and then we try to see some comparison between the previous survey and this new survey, and then that's when we can pick it up from there in terms of engaging with the government as well as relevant and appropriate policymakers. Thank you so much.
Toby, I promised Ilse, that's just entered the room, that I won't say anything controversial. So the focus of the work that I've been doing is largely between enterprises, government departments, and the institutions that are mandated to support them. So that's the space that I've been working in. There's certainly been policymakers and senior public officials interested in our work and engaged in our work, but we haven't on purpose gone to try and shape policy because there's still so much to be done at the level of the gap between our institutions, the technologies, and our industries. But you're welcome to take it up with Saul over here if you can think of a practical way that one can do this. I hope that's careful enough.
Thank you. I'll hand over to the second respondent at the back.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Thomas Kim from UJ. So my question goes for Dr. Shawn, which on the strengthening the distributed technological intelligence of industries in South Africa. So you are, I think you want to develop some observatory technology intelligence. So how to operationalize that, and what is the purpose and the approach? These days, there is a strand of knowledge known as the theory of inventive problem solving, so which is basically first developed by Greenwich Altschuler, which searches the patterns so far and brings technological intelligence like what you are doing. So there is an established system like, for example, the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the European Patent Validation Service. There are patent databases. And also you have said you are going to see the Chinese, and somewhat there is Chinese database for patent. And these days, there are technologies are developing on extracting the patent information, the technology information like that you have said, just to create technological intelligence. So the natural language processing and the machine learning technology are used to gather this information for getting technological intelligence. So, so are you creating some database, or so how to make that? Thank you.
Thank you for that. I mentioned during our talk that there is a lot of data, but the data mainly tells us about the past, and we want to try and understand what are the decisions that enterprises and public officials are making now in the present. So I've been avoiding going into the data, largely because I don't believe it's possible for us to innovate on behalf of the entrepreneurs. I think it's too hard for us to interpret unless you stay at the very high level of what the technology means, because I think there's a lot of space there. And that is also what technology and innovation policy is about. For entrepreneurs, and these entrepreneurs are not all necessarily small, because I think that one can work with small and large enterprises. The real challenge is the understanding the technology. How does a technology relate to their needs? What are the functions of technology? So there's a lot of technology dissemination projects and data dissemination projects, but it doesn't help entrepreneurs figure out, what does this technology mean for my production line? How does this technology integrate into my system and connect with my legacy systems? And that is the level where we are trying to operate, why we are working with, for instance, subsectors. And our challenge in South Africa is that most of the data at that level of technology, at that level of a subsector, doesn't exist. So I hear what you're saying, and I love playing with this, but it's not so relevant for the kinds of decisions that the businesses that we are working with at the moment have to make. Thank you.
I'll hand to our third respondent.
Morning. Oh, it's afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My question is to Chris. Your presentation really excited me because we are operating in a similar space. I'm from a company called Capital Links. We are obsessed with township businesses, and we're an intermediary there. So my question to you is in terms of adoption cost. How are you finding it in that space? Because people who are operating in the township, they don't have capital capacity the most. And if we are saying we are taking them into the digital space, how are you finding the cost for them to move from what they're currently doing into the digital space? And any ideas who can plug the gap of that cost? Thank you.
Yeah, my first comment is if you speak about cost, there are perhaps two elements to the cost. The one is financial and the other one is human. And perhaps it's first the human question that we need to answer. So I earlier made a flippant comment that small businesses don't need loans, they need customers. But it does get to a point where the financial considerations of a business require some outside input for them to make big shifts and to really optimize the benefits they can derive from new technology. But I think we have some way to go now. Our survey that we did last year shows, that more than half of the people are sitting there as respondents. That's more of a human cost, the human cost of being able to see what technology can do for your business, to understand that if you go cashless payment, it doesn't mean that the receiver of revenue is going to come and knock on your door for money. Those kind of preconceived ideas that may be there in the small business marketplace. So that's why it also needs to be a combination of effort. The interventions can't be isolated. We can't support an entrepreneur just in identifying how they're going to improve a small process in the business. It must sit within the business model and how they can then create better value and grow their businesses, as their starting point. But yes, financial is an issue. I think we do need to note, I'm not a technology expert, but we do need to note that the world of technology is moving on to such an extent that the barrier of entry is getting much reduced. You can now, we're busy, this morning we had a training program for 40 odd entrepreneurs on using Zoho as a platform. Zoho what, it's not excessively expensive. If you can start, you can see the benefits quick. You can increase your customers, your revenue will grow. So that's small investment that you make. And by the way, these products also you step up. You don't have to buy the whole thing. You can just buy one module. So I don't think finance is perhaps the biggest stumbling block. I think the cost, the human issue is a big one.
If I'm allowed to break the rules and also add a clarity to the answer, I would recommend that you also look into open source. That is one dimension that will help for budding entrepreneurs to access freemium tools that will enable them to have digital footprint to manage their business. I will, in the spirit of time, I am forced to close our session, and I do thank you for your audience and the questions, the robust discussions, and the much valuable presentations from our panelists. Thank you so much. And I will hand over to the host to lead us into the last session of the day. Thank you again.